Welcome to episode 255 of KT Confidential, the real estate podcast. Today we're talking about selling in the fall and sellers getting greedy. Hope you like this chat. Let's go. Well, what are we talking about today?
So today we are talking about something that we've both been experiencing lately, and it's a combination of, well, it started off with a discussion that listings are starting to look like crap. A lot of listings are having less money injected into them to prepare them. And then we started talking about the conversation that we feel sellers, in many cases, feel like they're not even sure they're going to sell. So they're
even some of the agents. I was at open houses with Sylvia on the weekend, and one of the realtors were like, telling me this during an open house. We wanted to see, put some feelers out. We're not sure.
Why do you need feelers? I don't understand that. Like,
right.
What's
so what
selling.
You're telling me by saying that is that your price is high.
Mm.
So when you're listing a home that the price is high, chances of us selling are slim. So I'm not going to spend the extra 10 grand in preparing marketing.
Did they know who you were?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Cocky. No, but I wonder if they're having that. I wonder if they're having that discussion with non-agents, prospective buyers.
Oh, I don't know.
Because before I was a realtor, I've attended many open houses, and even in my early years of real estate, where nobody knew who I was attending open houses and public open houses, and agents would say things that they certainly shouldn't.
So, if you got a home that you're not confident is going to sell, in fact, you're listing it almost thinking that it's not going to sell at that price. Are you talking to agents or homeowners? So both.
Okay.
Is the seller going to start investing in stuff that's needed to showcase the home at its best? Light fixtures, paint, deep cleaning, going on vacation so they're not at home during showings.
Or even how motivated are they to accommodate showings?
Yes, allowing showings at 8:30 at night.
Yeah.
Then they're like, are these people really serious? Well, if you don't let them through, you don't know. And then from a realtor's perspective, if you know that
that's where the problem really lies.
I'm just taking this listing because I've got another.
Yeah, I just want my sign on the lawn.
Yeah, and I'm servicing my client. But if you're going in with that mindset, are you going to spend $10,000 on this property?
Right.
To stage it properly, to photograph it, video, market it, online ads, social media, social ads, open houses, all of these things that are definitely required in this market to know that you're not getting any of that money back. Because as a realtor, you're fronting all that money. All of the expenses are front loaded and you're not getting reimbursed until
even if it does sell, not until a few months later.
Right. So if it takes 60 days to sell it and it closes in 90 days, you're not getting that money back for 150 days.
Yeah.
That's a long time to wait to get that money returned. And if you have 4 or 5 of these on the go, like we experienced that, we're out tens and tens of thousands of dollars every month, just waiting to get some of it back. That's part of doing business. But
that's where the problem lies and then it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy sort of, because they have such doubt that their home's going to sell. So as a result, the homeowner puts less effort into preparing it. They're less willing to, do things like you're saying, replace dated fixtures, whatever. The agent's not putting the money in because they have their doubts that it's going to sell. So inevitably it doesn't sell.
And I think a part of that problem is the expectation of price and not being realistic to what the market would bear for that property.
Right.
Everybody is fixed on what the high value of that property was. Oh, well, 18 months ago, I could have got $2.2 million, and now you're telling me it's 1.8? Well, what if we try it at 2 million and see if we get any nibbles?
Yeah. Well, the hard part too for us is convincing people to do a price reduction, because there's a lot of houses in the market not doing it. I had a discussion.
They're waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting.
I had a discussion.
You see a lot of listings right now that are well over 60 to 90 days on the market.
Yeah, well, and I mean,
especially in the higher price points.
It is taking longer to sell in general, so that's something to be aware of. I think I'm having that discussion with people lately where they assume. Oh, I remember this discussion with someone, we're going to be listing their home soon, and they were saying, "Oh man, some of these houses around me are taking a couple weeks to sell." I'm like, "Couple weeks? Like that's fast."
Yeah,
like on average, you're 30 days
people were
to
so
60
used
days.
People were so used to, well, in Milton now it's down to 17 at the moment, but
yeah.
That's on average.
Right.
Like the cheap stuff, usually if it looks okay and
it depends
it's
on what
well,
properties you're talking about.
Right.
Each segment's a bit different.
Like you look at the $2.5 million properties now, and
how does that account for properties that don't sell though? Probably doesn't.
These stats,
they're also skewed.
They're also skewed because how many times does a property get relisted? And
that one they've fixed, I think.
I don't know,
because it's cumulative days on market.
Anyways, you're talking about averages here, anyways, so it's pretty close to accurate as a general sense. Interestingly, we're just coming out of the third quarter when this airs. The stats have been pretty consistent over the last 60 to 90 days, where the sales have dropped, but the prices are actually remaining pretty steady. So as a seller now, and as a realtor representing a seller, you should be able to gauge. Fairly predictable right now at this moment. But people are trying. So as a buyer and a buyer's agent, you really have to know, I've talked about this many, many times in this podcast, knowing the intimate value of a property, knowing who your competition is, knowing what homes have sold that are similar, that could be used in a market analysis. You have to have that intimate knowledge. And if you do, and you still prepare the home right, price it right, those homes are still selling.
Yeah.
But what's happening is a lot of realtors and their sellers are throwing darts at the board and trying to figure out what sticks. I put an offer last week with a client, obviously, on...
Well, not obviously.
Yeah, I could be buying it for myself. So we put an offer on a place that had been listed low, and they had an offer night. So they strategically listed low.
Recently.
Let me finish. They listed low, thought that they would strategically get into a bidding war situation, multiple offer situation. It came up to offer night. They did get offers. Actually, I'll throw out the numbers because nobody will know what property I'm talking about. It was listed for $899.9 or something like that. And the agent told me, and it's been listed 3 times. So first at $899.9, I'll run through this real quick. First at $899.9, then at $999.9.
So $899.9 holding offers.
Correct.
$999.9
not holding offers. 2 months after.
Okay.
And now $950 not holding offers.
Okay.
So at $899.9, which was almost 3 months ago now,
and they had
or maybe more,
offers.
They had offers, over asking. Seller got greedy and didn't accept it. So they had an offer of $1,050,000.
Oh wow! So at $999, what were their expectations?
I have no idea because we went in.
It's a weird strategy.
We went in with a pretty decent offer and no go.
At that time. Or
recently.
Oh, okay.
And, you know, that's the conversation I had this very morning with my buyer, because we don't know what the seller's expectation actually is. And it sounds like they're now focused on what they could have got previously. And now because they can't get that, they're not able to put a deal together. So, and I think that's actually going to happen a lot more during this fall selling season. I think we're going to have a very busy fall.
We're already seeing
we already have a very busy fall. There's a lot of listings on the market. I think with the interest rate staying relatively stable.
Hoping that pulls more buyers out of the woodworks. I think it will.
I think it will. I think everybody understands that we're kind of at, well, you might debate with me, more or less a stable mortgage rate now. Like 5-year fixed, you're getting somewhere between 6 and 7% as a 5-year fixed. If you go shorter term, which I would recommend doing, maybe like a 2 or 3 year, I believe at that time the rates will start to come down a little bit, and not huge, but you're going to go from 6.5 to maybe 4.5, something of that nature, which
makes a big difference.
Makes a big difference. So, you know, you're paying less now on the purchase price. You're paying a little bit more in interest, but in 2 years, if the mortgage rates do come down, that's going to create a big flurry of activity.
I don't know if you mentioned it,
wars,
but I heard it somewhere. CMHC predicted the percentage of increase in value between now and 2030. Did you see that one? It was something like 98%.
Wow.
It was a big number.
So prices in the next 7 years are going to double?
It was a big number, whatever it was. I don't remember how valid the source was. It wasn't direct from CMHC, well, but they referenced CMHC. Their predictions have not been overly
Their predictions
accurate
over the last year. If you go back and watch the podcast that we talked about anything CMHC related, they are always wrong.
Yeah. But mind you, I mean, if you look historically, every decade has roughly doubled.
Yeah.
You know, on average, the last decade being an exception. But who knows? But I think the fall will be a busy market based on what we're seeing. Certainly more listings. Hopefully the buyers come to balance all that out. But typically that's what happens now. We'll be well into the school year. People will settle into their routines. Hopefully we have a nice season weather-wise.
You got to so now that we're getting into Thanksgiving, Halloween, Christmas, those are the big three that kind of people like to decorate for. Do you have any tips for those that are selling this fall?
Nothing related to seasonality, and just no. I mean, sure, I can talk about them. My biggest thing right now, as it relates to our discussion, is if you're planning to move and you want to sell, go into it with the right attitude, price it right, have reasonable expectations, and look at the recent sales. Like, don't have some arbitrary number that you're hoping to sell for.
Do you think the people that are being unrealistic with their selling price right now, may be because they have... No, that might not make sense. I was going to say, is it because they have committed to a new construction home?
Oh, well...
But then at some point they would have to get desperate to sell because...
It could be there's so much happening right now. Like, I've never seen so many assignment sales in my career.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Like there's Facebook pages designated to this stuff that's just lighting up. Like,
but you think somebody bought, let's say, a new construction home for $2 million, and at that time their home was worth 1.6. Now their home is worth 1.4.
And they were hoping it would be worth 2 by the time
they were hoping it would be worth 1.8. Yeah. But it swung the other way, and now it might be unaffordable.
So it could be.
So they're listing it early.
Or they have both listed.
Or maybe
Trying to sell the assignment sale or
that
my
would
house.
be interesting to look into.
Yeah.
If there are any.
I don't know if there's.
Well,
Well, you
get
could just-
Tiffany to go through all the listings and see the seller's names.
Well, you could call the agents and ask. Most
Right.
agents aren't the brightest. And they'll just say, oh, yeah, they bought this house they can't afford.
Oh, fire sale. You
Yeah.
see these assignment sale groups on Facebook?
Yeah.
It's
And it's saying now offering 2%, 2.5% to buyers.
The word-
Meanwhile,
in that group,
Yeah.
the word distressed
it's in every post now.
is coming up on a daily basis.
Distressed, but won't budge on the price.
Yeah.
Like, okay, buddy.
Yeah. Not losing money yet.
Yeah. And all of them are selling for what? Well, actually, I can't say that. They say they're selling for less. Sometimes I don't know if it's less than they paid or less than the current ask price by the builder. Anyways, they try to make it seem like a deal, but it's still not a deal.
There are some deals out there.
There are exceptions.
I've seen a few where legitimately you are buying it for less than what they paid for, and
But is
it's
it still
less than the current market value.
But is it a deal? Is anything selling at those numbers?
Well, it depends what your perception of a deal is, and then it depends on what your intent with that purchase is.
I suppose.
But there are some great condo deals available in assignment sales. Challenges with condos, I mean, it depends on the occupancy of it, when you're actually taking title, how many investors are in that building, because, you know, if you're up against a ton of competition, that could mean you're not getting a good tenant or getting a tenant in 6 months versus a couple of weeks.
Yeah. And then it's interesting because now there's a developer that recently emailed out promoting that they were offering 6% commission plus $25,000 bonuses. Like developers are
To realtors.
offering real estate agents huge money in many situations to sell their units.
Yeah.
And that's evident
And
because
giving incentives to both the
there's
buyer and
buyer incentives like free parking and, you know, free leasing or
Free assignments
and all that stuff.
yeah.
The big one should be free exit from deal if
Oh my
necessary,
God.
something
Yeah,
like
right.
that. You'd probably have people lining up at the door
They would
then.
never get funding though. The lenders would never
Yeah, that's true.
fly with the lenders. Can you imagine?
Yeah. Well, that's what we did a podcast on that earlier this year. Where people were giving the builders a hard time because they wouldn't let them back out of the deal. Anyways, they should have closed now. They probably had prices.
So I do have some tips since you're not seasonal tips.
Okay.
One of the things that I love to do personally, and I think it's a great little thing that you can do in your house when you're selling in the fall season, especially, you know, the leaves are turning color. It's a little crisp out. It's that quote unquote sweater weather. And you want to walk into a nice warm home, like not blazing hot, but if you have a fireplace, to get the fireplace going, whatever.
Even if it's a balance of keeping a window or two open while the fireplace is on for that ambiance and the fresh air.
I love having in the fall.
Yeah.
I love having that fresh air. Like it's not exactly green. You know, you're not environmentally conscious, but having the window open a little bit to let that fresh air. But one of the things that I do is I'll take a pot and fill it with some water and put in cinnamon sticks, some.
It's good if you're hosting a party.
Some different, like star anise, orange peel and lemon peel, things of that nature. And I just let it boil on the stovetop for like an hour or two and even keep topping it up with water and the steam. And that aroma fills the house and you walk in and it just smells so nice. To me, I don't know. I think it does to a lot of people.
I mean, we're in such a culturally diverse area that I don't know. I question those things now because
that's a good point. Actually,
we've had that chat where, you know, people think baked goods are nice to have at open houses because, fresh ones, because it has a nice smell. But we also talk a lot about how to avoid having scents in the house, more so related to things like incense, or not incense, but the plug-in air fresheners and chemicals, and that stuff's potent. Because that can trigger allergies and sensitivities. The stuff you're talking about, not so much. So
stuff I'm talking about makes it feel homey and warm, and it does an amazing job. Like, I don't know if you ever pay attention to this, but every home smells. Every single home smells. And you adapt to your home smell.
Yeah.
And you might go, like, if you come to my house, it smells different than your house. And you will notice the smell of my house, even though it might not be stinky, the home itself has a smell. It's your body odors, it's your clothes, it's your furniture, it's your pets, it's
everything.
It's what you cook, it's what's in your fridge, it's in your garbage, it's in the fucking paint. And what a concoction like that, if you let it boil on the stove and, the steam kind of just permeates everything, it does a really natural covering of any smells in the house.
Yeah.
But to your point, the culturally diverse community that we live in, well, Indian people cook with a lot of fragrance, like a lot of spices, a lot of curries and things like that.
Like if you had a dish you were cooking something like that, and you had a family of that cultural background enter the home, they may feel at home.
Exactly.
They may be like, oh, this reminds me of going to my mom's house.
Oh, they must have made some chana masala last night.
Yeah.
It smells great.
Right. Whereas somebody not of that culture might not be offended, but might be like, oh, this stinks, Like, you can't, it's hard to do that.
Yeah. Well, I say that about Chinese food. I love making Chinese food. I love Chinese food, but it lingers in your fridge. So if you've got some leftovers in your fridge, your house stinks. Yeah. We had that podcast conversation. I think it was called Your House Stinks.
Probably. Sounds about right.
Do you remember that one, Robbie? That wasn't that long ago. Anyways, so I enjoy doing that. I think we talk a lot about curb appeal, and in the fall, having a nice fall wreath, or your wife the other day was talking to me about getting planters, some really nice planters this time of year. And I think things like that
I think one area that's often an opportunity and is underutilized is a porch.
Yeah.
Like even if you have a small porch, finding a way to make it feel functional.
Even if it's not a porch, it's just steps.
Or just steps. Yeah. But I mean, in terms, like, I think now, ever since for the last few years, any space that can appear to be living space, indoors or outdoors, adds tremendous value. So if you can paint the picture of somebody sitting on the porch, even if just enough room for one small chair,
right? That's,
with nice decor of some sort and a nice mat.
In the last podcast we talked about, was it the last podcast? About the videos from 10 years ago?
Yeah.
That we did. Do you remember the one we did? You sold Lamont's house?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Where we did the coffee cup on the back.
The coffee cup and the steam coming out of the coffee, because
we're trying to paint the picture.
The back balcony had a view of the park, and we wanted to paint that.
We had a newspaper rolled up or something.
Newspaper.
Yeah, we were painting the picture of relaxing there. And so over the weekend, one of our listings, the homeowners on the ball, like very actively watching the camera we've got set up on the porch, and he's listening to everyone's conversations, and he's calling me saying, oh, this person visited twice during the open house. And he heard one person say that while they were on the porch, they said, oh, this is where I'll do my morning crossword.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Yeah. So like these people, they're envisioning themselves using the house, which is exactly what we want. So if you can make the space conducive to that, then you're going to be successful.
Was that person with a realtor or just came in through the open house?
I'm not sure. I think it was just...
It'd be pretty cool if they came back, if you had a crossword waiting for them.
Oh,
there.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
That's funny.
But like, I love going to your porch
Yeah.
And how many times we'll sit there and have a chat and have a drink and
Yeah, like it's a very different feel if you have a porch, like especially if it's of that size. Like it has to, you really should be. That's the same as having an empty room that's not staged in a house. Like if it's
right.
really well suited to having seating, you
and
should
then,
have it.
much like a room, if it's not properly decorated or staged, let's say it's a smaller room, like you got a 9x8 room or a 9x10 room. That's a small room.
Yeah.
But like your daughter's room is probably about that size.
Yeah. But properly furnished, it becomes more functional.
Exactly. If it's vacant, you're like, oh, where am I going to put the bed? Where am I going to put this? Whatever. Other tips for fall season selling. Your leaves are falling down. Make sure that they're all blown out. Like have a clear, nice, trimmed, clean lawn. Don't have leaves all over the place. Make sure, because that's the first thing people notice.
Yeah.
You know what I did? You commented on it. I just did it last week or the week before, and you noticed right away. What did I do?
Oh, you cleaned your exterior lighting, sconce lights.
That's right.
And your hanging light.
Yeah.
That makes a big difference.
Got up on the ladder with a microfiber cloth and a little bit of cleaning vinegar, wiped it down, and then I changed all the bulbs.
Are they LED?
No.
Oh, why?
I just had them from when I bought the light fixture. So,
yeah, that makes a big difference for first impressions. I think a lot of people maybe too, they prematurely close up their outdoor furniture, like maybe start packing away their patio set.
I would be guilty of that because I'm always worried that it's going to drag out and then snow is going to come and then it's too late.
And you're screwed. Yeah, I think, I don't know. I mean, certainly for the month of October, you're safe. November is questionable. I think when you hit November, that's probably the time to start considering to put it away.
If you haven't done it yet, by the way, call your furnace repairman, your HVAC guy, and get your furnace serviced because you're about to put it through a good
we turned ours on the other day.
And
the first turn we turned it on, it stinks. All the
smell.
dust burning up. Yeah. But as a kid, I used to love that smell.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Something actually almost comforting about that to me.
Yeah, me too.
When the first time and you get that little bit of that dust burn smell.
It reminds me of being a kid because I used to I'd get up and I'd go sit on
and it'd be
vent.
Freezing and you would turn the heat on and then.
Yeah, I'd go sit on the vent and we had these metal vent covers and they would like burn my legs.
Oh, you're a weird kid.
And I would wear like this house coat and I would just put it over me like this and make a little tent over it.
Get your jollies off.
What the fuck? No, I would just sit there as a kid and appreciate the warmth that I had.
Right. Because the rest of the house was freezing.
Yes.
Because it was the turn of the...
Because I guess my parents probably had the furnace set to turn on at 6 or 7. So it was always on when I woke up for school or weekends, whatever.
Wow, you guys had a programmable thermostat? Jeez.
I'm assuming. Maybe I didn't appreciate that they had to get up and turn it on.
Right.
Right.
I think that was probably more accurate back in the 80s.
Yeah, I imagine so. No, I'm sure.
The days getting up of going, because this is when you're back to school, right? And back then, I don't know if you were like me, but on Saturdays, it's like, it's the weekend. I'm watching cartoons all Saturday morning, getting a bowl of cereal, but you come down in the morning for your bowl of cereal and cartoons in October, September.
Yeah.
And it's chilly.
Yeah.
Get that heat on and change.
See, if you can trigger those types of memories in people when they visit your house.
Yeah.
So done deal. Top.
I have been reading so much about selling on emotions versus selling on features, benefits, and price.
Yeah. Just the way you convey the same things.
Because as an example, we sold our listing on Trudeau.
Yeah.
It was a nice, clean home, but it's outdated. The fact that we sold and none of the other ones that we were competing against sold, we were the only one to sell in that price range with that type of offering. Why? the curb appeal was amazing, and the feeling of walking into the backyard, so nicely manicured and landscaped. You come into the home, you could tell that it was loved. The home was loved, owned by the same owner for, well, he's going to give me shit because, yeah, here's the guy that says he's not tech savvy, and all of a sudden he said, oh yeah, I was listening to your podcast the other day, and you were talking about us, you son of a bitch.
You know how many people I had when that went up for sale? How many people? I can't count the number of people that messaged saying, oh, I see that so-and-so. Like they don't know him, but they know him. Or people that just commented on our social posts saying, oh my God, I walk by the house all the time. It's always so well kept.
Oh, same thing happened when we sold Thomas Street as an example. Everybody knows everybody in Milton, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so.
All right. Well, there you go. Some tips if you're selling.
But the biggest thing and the main topic of today is if you're planning to sell, go into it with confidence and realistic expectations. And
don't try the market.
It will sell.
Yeah. That's it. Toodaloo.
Good chat.
We really want to hear what you guys have to think. Do you think there are too many homes that are overpriced on the market? Leave us a comment. Let us know. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.